Okay, so how's everybody doing? So I want to talk to you about the end of the line here, like in terms of section 3, which is right here. And I think I'd mentioned before that there's potential expansion beyond this. Now, I'm really into the kind of wood substrate phase. I want to show you and try to answer a few questions from past content about some of the products that I use. This is not a product endorsement, just the stuff that I prefer to use and how I do it. Before I do, I just want to mention something that I was planning to, but I haven't yet. And since I'm into wood, like the wood part of things, I really love wood. I want to show you this beautiful little wooden gift that I received from First Nations. And I'll give you a quick context. So I was a chaplain in the prison system, and the last one was I did a 5-year ministry there in that community, and I was really blown away and honored. Just before I left, that they had a big presentation and they called me up and they presented this to me, and I was really floored. Like, I never was paid. Like, I didn't, I felt compelled strongly, without going into, any details about, to go there and serve 5 years and take no money, and no harm will come to you. But anyway, when I left, and the night I left, they had this presentation, and they gave me this paddle, and they said basically, we would like to honor you with this. And I saw the wording on here, and I'm sorry, I can't remember the exact band that it was. But I think it might have been Salish. I'm not entirely sure, but whoever's watching this and knows that, please forgive me. But it says Gila, Kesla. And I asked the gentleman that gave me this what that meant, and you know what he said? Healer. And I was like, wow, man, that is really cool, So I just thought I'd mention that. You know how you get gifts from people you don't expect, and they end up meaning a lot to you? So I just thought I would mention that. So it's nice to pay forward or pay back, And that's part of the reason why I do this channel as well, is like, I don't have to do it. But I like to do it because I like to pass on any gifts or inspiration or education that I can, that I've acquired over the years. Because I'm in my 60s now, I'm a boomer, and I feel privileged to have health, at my age, and to be able to do this. I worked hard to get here, but I think it's important that for those that do that, we pass on not only to the younger generation, but respect to the elders as well, regardless of a person's nationality. But anyway, so I want to show you how I lay this down. So just to summarize quick, this is 3/8 plywood, birch plywood. And I like to use birch plywood because it's really good quality for many reasons. It doesn't deflect like cheap plywood will. I've used cheaper 3/4 for the frames underneath here, but this is where a lot of my finish work goes. So if I'm doing any cutting, mounting, gluing, I like a nice surface. And I can also basically like draw on this, like plan and draft like ideas. And it shows really well. And I mean, it gets covered up eventually, but it just helps to remind me of some of the directions and the vision that I have for this particular footprint. So I want to show you how I glue cork down, which is really pretty basic. So I like to use this LePage's Carpenter's glue because I think it's, as good as any other adhesive, even though people prefer, even though people prefer other means, that's fine. Like I said before, I don't care what adhesives or materials that you use. I just show you what I use, and I try to explain why I use it. Well, it's proven, and I'm comfortable with it. And I like to minimize my adhesives down to as few as I can, because I don't want to be complicated about it. So this I like to use for wood to cork or wood to wood, okay? And I'm just going to spread some of this glue here, and then I'll drop this brush into a bucket of water because it's water soluble, this PVA. And then I'll talk to you about these other two products that I use. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take this piece of cork. So this is this 1/4-inch cork I got from Construction Supply. And I think I mentioned before too, like it comes in big rolls, so it can be a bit of a bear to sort of unfold sometimes, and it'll break and crack. But even if it does, you can still glue it together, no problem. And I find too that if you go to some of the craft stores, you can get flat sheets. And you just glue sections in. You don't have to have long runs because you can basically glue it together. Oh, look at that. I didn't spread enough there. So let's put a pencil mark there and get a little bit more adhesive in here as well. Okay, so we'll just spread this out. So I basically use just scrap plywood, as I'll show you here. And I trim to the track grade or ballast grade later. I like to cut it a little bit proud in terms of width and then put a weight on it. And that should be good to go. So a couple of products I just want to talk to you about that I like to use when I'm doing the substrate or substructure of a layout, meaning including track as well. So after I get the cork down and all the wood, like I got to do fairing on this road here because this is Glover Road right here, as you see, and this goes into Crush Crescent. The grain elevator sits in here. So once I get the cork down and all the wood down, I cut the culverts out, etc. I generally just seal with a big 4-inch brush or 3-inch brush with Varathane. Like this is waterborne. Like I know there's different names for this, excuse me, like urethane, Varathane, but this is water-based because I like to use all water-based. So I just basically slather on a whole coat, roll it on or whatever, just to seal the plywood because I don't want any water to permeate the cork or the balsa wood or the plywood when I'm doing washes and matte medium, diluted matte mediums. But I don't do the bottom of the layout because I want the bottom to, like, I want the shelf though to breathe, exhaust, inhale moisture from the bottom rather than the top. Because if you seal the top, it'll shift and move less because of all the laminates that I'm laying down here. That's why I do that. You know, some people might think it doesn't make a difference, but over the years, I've noticed that it does. So, and when I use this for scenery and ballast, I like it for several reasons. Well, it's water-based again, and it doesn't dry to a hard shell like this does. Like if you ballast this over cork, you pretty much kill the advantages of cork for sound deadening because it puts a hard shell. I've tested it, and it almost echoes like a snare drum or something. It's hard to explain because it makes this hard, like you can hit it with a hammer and just shatter it, right? But if you do that with matte medium, like just pour some of this onto a piece of wax paper and leave it for a week, and then you can just sort of peel it off like a sole off an old running shoe or something. Like it's super tough, but it's flexible. And I find that when you use matte medium for track and ballast, like it doesn't have that same sort of tinny, echoey sound. But anyway, I do that with terrain too, and it seals it really well. It's flat, it's transparent, and I just love it. Okay, so those are the 3 water-based products that I love to use when I, build a model railroad or a diorama. Okay? Cheers, and I hope you have a great day.